In a station of the metro by Ezra Pound, the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. So in the ABC of reading, Ezra Pound wrote that literature is language charged with meaning, and great literature is simply language charged with meaning to the utmost possible degree. And he speculated that there's three main ways that you can charge language with meaning. There's Phanopoeia, Melopoeia, and Logopoeia. Phanopoeia is basically throwing or projecting an image onto the mind's eye. Melopoeia, as you might have guessed, is having a melody, having meter, having sounds, having music, having lyricality, having lilt to the words. And Logopoeia is by using one word, making the reader think of 6, 7 different things. So like metaphor, simile, different nuance. So one word doesn't just mean one thing. There's shades of ambiguity and it can be interpreted in many different ways. So Phanopoeia, the idea of throwing an image on the mind, Pound thought that the Asian languages that use Chinese characters approximated this technique the best, because if you look at Chinese characters or kanji, if you're talking about Japanese, many of the characters, and there's thousands of them, actually are real representations of what they designate, like a sun is a sun, an eye is an eye, and all that. So he said as a purely imagistic expression, nothing really beats those pictographs or languages, pictographic languages and representation. So that's what he's trying to do in this poem here. He's trying to render in English Phanopoeia that normally would only be represented in a sort of haiku form. And Pound knew, aside from being an absolute fascist and probably a deplorable person, he knew a lot about world literature. And this here is probably what a haiku would look like in English. And you can see here, it's got everything. It's got a shisei, like an imagistic, naturalistic snapshot of nature that kind of tells you like the season. That's very indicative of a haiku. And it's just got pure image. Petals on a wet black bough. But of course, if you want to look at Melopoeia, the language that approximates or makes the best use of Melopoeia melody the most is ancient Greek. We're talking about Homer. It is no coincidence that terminology in prosody, like talking about poetry and stuff like that, all the terminology is taken from the Greek. That's because they are supreme when it comes to creating music. Logopoeia, maybe there's some debate on this, but I would say that the best language for Logopoeia, metaphor and expression, would be the same language that has more words and more synonyms than any other language in the world. I think it might even have twice as much as the second most expressive language, which is Russian. Someone can correct me on that. But English, that's what I'm saying. English is great at Logopoeia. English is great at ambiguity and one word meaning many things. Nothing is as expressive as the English language. So, tell me, what's your favourite poem that uses Phanopoeia, imagistic techniques? Or what's your favourite poem using Melopoeia? Or what's your favourite poem using Logopoeia? Do you agree? Can you find instances in English that highlight each of these three techniques? Let me know, and let me know what you think of Pound's very small but very imagistic poem in the station of the metro.